morning, students. Let us start with our next topic related to privacy issues, and the subtopic we are going to consider today is protecting privacy and the common privacy principles. So what do you understand by privacy? As we have seen, privacy is basically where the information about your a specific individual is collected, and it needs to be protected from the hackers or maybe some other organizations who basically intend to take advantage of your data. You basically give the data with your permission to some specific organization. That organization basically needs to take care of that data. So it is declared by Supreme Court of India maybe way back in 2017 that privacy is a fundamental right of every Indian citizen. So that needs to be taken care when the information about you is collected. It was also observed that the server which had the Aadhaar card data collected was having some security loopholes. Of course, the government of India has taken care to see that it is repaired. So let us study more about related to this topic. So what is privacy? Basically, privacy is, as I said, the rights or obligations that are related to the collection, use, disclosure, storage and destruction of personal data, that is termed as PII, that is personally identifiable information. So privacy is basically about the accountability of the organizations to the data subjects basically, as well as transparency to an organization's practice about personal information. So it is basically about the accountability about the specific organization who collects the data about the data subject, and also what transparency they maintain to see that the organization's practices are followed appropriately, specifically around the personal information. Now, who is basically responsible for protecting the privacy? There are conflicting opinions regarding who is responsible for security and privacy. Conflicting opinions because at times organizations collect their data and they forward it to the other organizations. So then the other organizations have no accountability, they can simply take advantage of that. So it is basically with the organization who has collected the data. So we will be studying about this. So some publications basically assign it to the providers, but although it may not be possible to transfer, or it is basically possible to transfer liability by contractual agreements, but it is never possible to transfer accountability. I repeat again, it is never possible to transfer accountability. It may be possible to transfer the liability, and that is also through or via contractual agreements. So basically, in the eyes of public and the law, the onus of data security very much lies on the organization. Of course, about data security and also about privacy. It basically falls on the shoulders of the organization that collected the information in the first place, that is the user organization. So this is true even if the organization basically has no technical capability to ensure that the contractual requirements with the CSP are met. So even if the organization has no technical capability to maintain the security and the privacy, even though it is having some contractual requirements with the CSP that are being met. So let us see about the accountability model. So this model is very much similar to the discussion around privacy in outsourcing or subcontracting the relationship and conclusion, that is very much similar. So organizations can basically transfer liability as we discussed, but not accountability. So liability can be transferred by the organizations but not the accountability. So risk assessment and mitigation throughout the data lifecycle is very, very critical. As we have seen, risk assessment and mitigation both are basically very, very critical, and it's basically through the entire life cycle of the data. So knowledge about legal obligations and contractual agreements or commitments is very, very imperative. So let us see about the various common privacy principles. So these are basically coming under changes to privacy risk management and compliance in relation to cloud computing. There are basically 6 common privacy principles we'll be studying today. Like it is listed, you have collection limitation principle, you have use limitation principle, security principle. We'll be studying about retention and destruction principle, we'll be studying about transfer principle, we'll be studying about accountability principle. So we'll be focusing on these principles and they can be individually asked in the GTU question paper. So you need to focus on each and every principle individually. Let us study about it. So let us first see about collection limitation principle. So this principle specifies that the collection of personal data should be limited to the minimum amount of data that is required for the purpose for which it is collected. So the data which is collected about a specific data object has to be data subject also. It has to be minimum, right? It has to be limited to minimum amount of data. Unnecessary heavy data need not be collected. So it's basically focus is minimum data. So any such data should be obtained basically by lawful and fair means. So you should not get the data by stealing or unlawful means. So the data collected should be very much obtained by lawful and fair means and wherever appropriate with the knowledge and consent or knowledge or consent of the data subject. So the data subject should be very much aware that the data is collected about him or her and also it is going to be legally used or it is basically for legal purpose. So regarding privacy, there are, as I said, very different expectations regarding what privacy means between the organization and the CSP and basically there are no agreed best practices for this. So it is essential that the SLAs, that is the service level agreements, are initially defined before any information is provided or shared because it is very hard to negotiate them later. So all the things need to be specified in the SLA. SLAs are, as I said, service level agreements that are basically signed by the cloud service provider with the customer. So all the things have to be specified in the SLA before it is basically done because it is very hard to negotiate it later. Now when well-defined security and privacy SLAs are basically a part of SOW, that is statement of work. So they have to be a part of your SOW, statement of work. Also ensure that the SLAs have teeth with specific penalty clauses. Whenever there are some issues, some penalty has to be posed. So to overcome that issues, as I said, we are posing some or focusing on some penalties. So those penalties should have appropriate teeth so that they can be obeyed when the rules are violated. So do not state comment of service level negotiation to the provider. Now use of limitation principle is the next principle we will be studying about. So this principle specifies that personal data should not be disclosed. It should not be made available or otherwise used for purposes other than those with the collected with the consent of the data subject or by authority of law. It should be basically used for the purpose it has been collected, not beyond it. So it should be basically very much legal usage. So as the data flows from cloud, strong data governance is needed because in the cloud environment data can flow to various networks which could be not secured also. So one needs to be careful there. So to ensure that the original purpose of collection and limitation on use of data is attached. So whenever the data flows from one organization to the other organization, the usage of data should be attached along with it. So that one knows that the data which is flowing is legal and is used for a specific purpose. So this is basically very critical when organizations create a centralized database because future applications can easily combine the data via expanded views that are utilized for new purposes never approved by data subjects. So at times it happens that the data is focused on a centralized database or basically stored on a centralized database and those could be used for some based on certain combination of data could be used from some other subjects or other fields where the data subject may not agree. So one needs to be careful here. So the ability to combine data from multiple sources increases the risk of unexpected users by the government. So at times government might use the data for some purposes for which it was not collected. So when it is basically combined, the data is combined, the risk increases for such type of usage. So one should be very careful. Now, governments in different countries could ask the CSPs basically to report on particular type of behavior or to monitor activities of particular type of category of users. So, there are some specific type of users who behave in a different manner. So, the government might ask the CSP to collect such data. So, the CSP has to oblige to give this specific data. So, the possibility that a CSP could be obliged to inform a government or third party about user activities might be troubling to the provider as well as to the users. But it is the government who is expecting the data, so the provider need to provide if it is a legal demand. So at times the users also might have an issue, but as per the laws it needs to be followed and the data needs to be provided. Now let us see about security principle. So this is one of the key requirements to enable privacy. Security principle is very important and specifically in a privacy environment. So this principle specifies that the personal data should be protected by reasonable security safeguards. There have to be appropriate safeguards to protect the sensitive data, and such of them against, like you have risk as loss or unauthorized access, destruction, use modification or disclosure of data. So these are some of the threats to the specific data and they need to be protected against such threats. So security principle plays a major role in protecting this. Now about retention and destruction principle. So this principle specifies that the personal data should not be retained for longer than needed to perform the task for which it was collected or required by the laws or regulations. So the data collected is basically for some specific period. So it should not be used beyond that period. That is what is discussed under retention and destruction principle. So it should not be retained for a longer time for which it was collected. So data should be destroyed in a secure way at the end of the retention period. So once the retention period is over, the data needs to be destroyed, and that too in a specific secure manner. So most policies have been driven or imposed by legislation and regulations such as HIPAA, which is basically Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, and Subnally-Oxley Act, that is termed as SOX, and other federal and state compliance requirements. So they have to be driven properly and they have to be imposed by appropriate legislations and regulations, specifically like HIPAA and other rules like SOX and others. So deleting a file basically marks the space for deletion. As you all know, you are all computer science students, computer engineering students. When we delete the file, it is not immediately deleted from the memory. It is just marked by the OS for deletion. So the content will be deleted only if it is overwritten by some other contents. Else it is still there in the memory in spite of it being deleted. So that's basically the space is blocked, right? It is basically blocked because the blocks need to be deleted because it is basically just marked for deletion. So until the blocks are actually overwritten, as I said, the data is still there and can be written. So the blocks, maybe the blocks or maybe the space, it could be termed as space or blocks. So in fact the disk space occupied by deleted files must be overwritten, as I said, with the other data several times before the entirety of the file is deemed irreversible. So by US federal government, it is minimum 7 times the data needs to be overwritten. Then it is assumed that the data is no longer available on the media. So encryption also plays a key role in destruction process. So encrypted data can be destroyed even when the organizations lose track of their data by destroying the encryption key. So encrypted data means they have certain keys. So if the keys are destroyed, even without the involvement of the CSP, the data can be destroyed. So data can no longer be decrypted and hence is rendered as inaccessible. Right? So this is especially beneficial when the data is kept by the CSP. Encrypted data can be destroyed, as I said, without the involvement of the CSP. Now transfer principle. So this is one of the again important principle because data is transferred in the cloud from one network to the other. So this principle specifies that data should not be transferred to the countries that don't provide the same level of privacy protection as the organizations that the collected information by the organization. So what they're trying to say is, whenever you want to transfer the data to another cloud environment, the policies have to be safe. If the policies are lower, there could be many breaches in that. So that data could be stolen and could be misused. So basically the privacy policies have to be kind of safe, or at least they can be higher. So do not provide the same level of privacy protection as the organizations that has collected the information. So in a cloud computing environment, as I said, infrastructure is shared between organizations. Therefore, there are threats associated with the fact that the data is stored and processed remotely. So data is kind of stored on some data centers which are remotely accessible, which are maybe not in the nearby environment. So there could be security issues, and that is, there is an increased sharing of platforms between the users, which basically increases the need of protecting the data and specifically privacy of the data stored in the cloud. So services are basically can be potentially aggregated and changed dynamically by the customers and service providers, and they can change the provisioning of services also. So aggregated services can change, the service provider also can change their services, right? So in such scenarios, personal and sensitive data can move around within a single CSP infrastructure and across CSP organizational boundaries. So it could be in any of the organizational boundaries, the data can move in the cloud environment. So the goal of the integrated services provided by multiple CSPs is to enhance the possibility of data transfer to third parties, right? So this transfer should be disclosed to the data subject prior to the data collection. So if the data is going to be transferred somewhere, the data about whoever you are collecting, they should know that your data would be transferred to so and so location. Now let us focus about accountability principle. This is one of the last principles we will be studying today. So this principle states that an organization is responsible for personal information under its control and should designate an individual or individuals who are accountable for organization's compliance with the remaining principle. Accountability principle basically focuses on who is accountable for the data that is being collected. So it's basically personal data, so one needs to focus on whom you are giving that data. So it should be under the control of a specific person who is accountable for it. So accountability within cloud computing environment can be achieved by attaching certain policies to the data and mechanisms to ensure that these policies are adhered to by the parties that basically use, store or share the data. So irrespective of the jurisdiction, as I spoke of, jurisdiction is the legal boundaries in which they are stored or processed. So whichever jurisdiction the data subject belongs to or the data center belongs to, the rules and regulations need to be same. So the way to move onward is for the organizations to value accountability and build mechanisms for accountable, responsible decision making while handling data. So accountable organizations ensure that obligations to protect data are observed by all processors of the data, irrespective of where that processing occurs. So processing can occur anywhere, right? So the organizations basically have to ensure that the obligation to protect the data are observed by all the processors of the data. Whoever are processing the data, they need to know how the data is being protected. So the accountability is basically with the organization. So these are certain assignments for today. You can just have a look at it. These are 7 marks questions and 4 marks questions, all very much related to the topic we have discussed today. If you have any queries, you can contact me at the specified email ID. We are done for today. Thank you.